Hello everyone and welcome back to the Vexillocast, a vexing conversation about flags and flag history, a visual media discussed through an audio medium. I'm your host, Violet Jackson.
And I'm your co-host, Roxy Milliken.
And thank y'all so much for joining me on another very special episode. I'm super excited to get into it, but before we get started, I want to get into some podcast housekeeping. If you like this podcast or want to show your support, make sure you like this podcast and leave a comment. Tell me that you like the podcast, tell me your favorite part, or just tell me if I missed anything. All comments are appreciated. Also, make sure that you follow me on wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Finally, if you want to interact with the podcast further, keep the conversation going, you can tell me on Facebook, TikTok, and on YouTube, all at the Vexillocast. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. What do you say, Roxy?
Sounds great to me.
Awesome. Well, today's topic is something I know you're really passionate about. We're going to talk about communism.
Woo!
Woo! All right. So this is going to be a two-part episode because there is a lot to get into because we are covering 3 countries.
That's a lot. That's more than we've done so far.
Yeah. Well, last episode, we ended up talking about one city, and then the one before that was one country. So this is going to be a huge undertaking. So we're going to start with the tourist destination corner. All right. So we're going to go on a trip real quick.
Alrighty.
We're going to go all the way out to China first. I'm going to start with China. What is there out to do in China? Well, the Great Wall of China.
Absolutely.
This is relatively near Beijing. It's pretty fancy. That's a really popular tourist site.
I would absolutely love to walk on it. I know it's extremely rocky at points and extremely hard to walk on because my partner's family has been there, but I would absolutely love to go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I feel like that would be like really breathtaking to just see like the hills and stuff out from just this landmark that is known around the world.
I mean, you have to think about how old that wall is, exactly who we think it was built to keep out, that it's still there, still working.
And it like the 7 wonders of the world or whatever?
Yes, I think so.
Man, I really like that. I think that would be really cool to go see. Next on our to-do list, we're going to go see the National Stadium, which is called the Nest. It was actually a field used during the Beijing Olympics, I believe, in 2008.
Gotcha.
And next door to that is a place called the Cube.
The Cube.
The Cube, yeah, is the pool used for like the aquatics in the Olympics, and it is, I believe, the world's largest indoor aquatic center.
Oh wow!
So it has like a professional swimming place, and then there's like, your general community pool, which has like all these fancy like water slides and all kinds of like where water would go out everywhere.
Oh, you would definitely think that America would be the one who has the biggest, best aquatic center.
You would think, but the Cube is really fascinating, and how they repurpose that is fantastic. And next we're going to go to the Forbidden City in the center of Beijing. In the past with that is it was the home of 24 former emperors of China. It is 3 times as large as the Louvre, which we covered in episode 2.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's a massive museum. I kind of want to see that as well.
I mean, you must think 24 emperors. That is an extremely, extremely long time.
Yeah.
And especially emperors, they weren't often overthrown like we think of Roman emperors. They weren't often killed and replaced just as quick as they sat on the throne. They stayed around for quite a long time.
Yeah, it wasn't just like 10 years and you're gone. Hotel costs in Beijing. What do you kind of think for a 3-star hotel?
I mean, you must think Beijing, that's a pretty big city, but they also try and keep costs down. Maybe $100 a night, 110.
$100 for a 3-star hotel. Well, you're off the ballpark by a little bit. So a 3-star hotel is going to be $64 a night.
Man, I can afford that.
Even a 5-star hotel is $190.
That's very affordable.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I looked up the average hotel price in Kansas City, which is the closest big metropolitan area to us at this moment. The average is $171 a night. So having a 5-star hotel, like the best of the best, $190, that's crazy.
That is insanely cheap.
Yeah.
It's very affordable if you want to go for luxury.
Right. So we're done in China right now. We got to move on to bigger and better things. What's the bigger and better thing, you ask, is going to be Bolivia. Yeah, we're going to go all the way back to South America.
Okay.
And I wasn't able to find too many things to do in Bolivia. So it started out in the Plaza Murillo.
Okay.
It's basically a big plaza with a bunch of monuments and government buildings. I looked at like one of the pictures in the middle, and there's like 4 sets of the flags that we're about to dive into.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was like out in that plaza. It looked phenomenal.
We need more places just to show off flags, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. It looked like a nice place. And then we have the Ambro National Park, and it's like scenic mountains and hills, which is near what's called the elbow of the Andes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like where it protrudes out into like the middle of Bolivia.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It looked pretty stunning. I think there was like a cluster, I think they was called the group of volcanoes in that area, which seemed really interesting.
I mean, the Andes Mountains are gorgeous on their own.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say the average hotel price is in Bolivia for a night?
Well, I know they've been having some pretty bad runaway inflation as of late, and their money isn't worth as much as it should be. Maybe $40 a night?
$40? Man, you're actually pretty close on the ballpark. It's actually $26.
Oh, wow.
For a one-night stay. It's actually ranked as the cheapest place to travel in South America.
Wow, that is insanely cheap.
Yeah.
That's like a meal for 2 here.
Yeah. My gosh, like you get like 3 people and go to McDonald's, you spend $26.
And for all that, we could just go be spending a night in Bolivia.
All right, we're done with Bolivia now.
All right.
We're going to go to Russia. The big boy. I didn't have much on here either, just to get through it quickly. Like I said, we're going to go to St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow.
Absolutely.
I didn't put down much history, but it is like the iconic location of like when you think Russia, that building is what you think of. That
building with all the multicolored peaks on it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's basically all I got on it. I didn't look much into it. I was just like, ooh, that looks cool. And
everyone knows that one.
Yeah. All right. And then we have Sochi. I mean, there's quite a bit to do. You could go rafting in the Emzimta River, which doing rafting, I think that would be pretty interesting to do.
As long as you go whenever it's a little bit warmer. You don't want to freeze to death.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This would definitely be a summer thing to do.
Oh, I hope so.
Because like once it gets past September, you're going to be cold.
Oh, yeah. If the water's still flowing at that point.
Yeah. After that, you could go to the Rosa Couture ski resort, and that's the site of the 2014 Winter Olympics.
I remember those Olympics. That was one of the first ones I remember.
Yeah. I remember watching ping pong at the Beijing Olympics. I thought that was really funny. Now we get to the average hotel cost in Moscow. What are you thinking?
Well, I know we probably can't travel there right now.
No, I don't think it's going to be a great thing to travel there.
It's going to be a while, if ever.
Take its time.
Hypothetically, maybe $70.
$70? Man, you're like really close today.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, the average hotel cost in Moscow is going to be $52 a night.
That's honestly just double Bolivia. I mean, that's still reasonably affordable.
That's really not bad, but you're going to have to take some time to get to Russia, maybe a bit later in the future.
Yeah.
Once all the politics stuff blows over. All right, so we've gotten through the tourist destination corner. Now we're going to get to the communism.
All right.
You excited?
I'm very excited. This is obviously one of the things I'm very passionate about.
Oh yeah, I can tell. We've been hanging out for quite a while, and that's the one thing that I can say for certain is like a big passion of yours.
I mean, how many other people in the Midwest and Southeast Kansas can you name that has at least 3 or 4 different communist leader on their bookshelves?
There's really not a lot I can name, of course. It's definitely the American scapegoat. communism is.
Oh, yeah. Red Scare.
Yeah. It was like anything bad to America is communism. So we got to clear its name maybe a little bit. So we got to get through a few misconceptions. So let's talk about that. So communism, how does it differ from capitalism?
So communism is a fundamental belief in that the workers should own the means of production. So we're talking about factories, we're talking about mills, farms, things like that. So the way that capitalism is currently set up is enclosure of the commons, trying to monetize everything possible, and committing what is basically called wage theft, where say I am a carpenter and someone hires me and they pay for the timber and they pay for my tools and they say, okay, turn this wood into a chair and I will pay you $10 for it. I make that wood into a chair, then they sell that chair for $50. That is $40 that they have then taken from me. Because before capitalism, I would have been able to get that wood, build the chair, sell it for my own profit, and I would have kept the entirety of that profit. What they do is skim the profits off at the top so that they can then reinforce their owning of the means of production and basically enrich themselves. So what communism is, removing that middleman, giving direct control of the means of production to the workers. And what that often means is higher wages, as far as wages are concerned, a higher quality of living. And due to the greater focus on people instead of corporations and the moneyed classes, it increases literacy, the way that they live, their overall satisfaction. We try and eliminate poverty. And as we've seen, it doesn't always go the greatest due to a lot of different factors in Russia and in China and some of the countries that we'll be talking about. But it's a fundamental belief that things can be better. And by giving people direct control over both their lives and their work that they do, it makes their lives better.
Hi, you're listening to the Vexillocast, a vexing conversation about flags. Stay tuned, because we'll be right back. Awesome. So, let's get into a few countries that have dabbled in communism in their time. So, we're going to start with Bolivia. So, with Bolivia's flag, it actually didn't change much over time. When I looked up like other country flags, especially like with our last episode with France, they had their flag change like almost every 5 years or so.
They couldn't stop changing the flag.
They never stopped. But Bolivia, they have very few changes in their flags, and they have a very interesting layout, as we'll get into.
Okay.
So they have a state and civil flag. So they're represented by two different flags.
Okay.
So the civil flag is basically to be used during civil and public patriotic events, but the state flag is used in official acts. So this is the flag that you'll see like represented in different countries.
Gotcha.
Like what we see as Bolivia. And the civil flag is what Bolivia sees itself.
Gotcha. Basically what they project to, say, the UN or international councils. Okay.
Yep. So the first flag came about in 1825. The first two flags. The civil flag is called the Bandera Mayor, and the state flag is the Bandera Mayor.
Okay.
So the civil flag, the first one is a green, yellow, green vertical tricolor, and it has a wide central red.
Okay.
And it has one yellow star surrounded by a wreath in the middle of it. It was actually implemented 11 days after declaring independence from Spain.
Oh, wow.
So it used to be flown under the Spanish flag, which was the like a form of St. Andrew's cross on a white background.
So they were a colony then, and they won their independence.
Yeah, they were a colony. And so that changed really quickly right after. So they were ready to go.
Yeah, we don't want to be a colony anymore, and let's make it very clear.
Just get it out of there. The red is for the valor of the army, yellow is the richness of resources, and green is fertility of the land. And this is a reoccurring color theme all throughout the history of Bolivia.
And throughout history of communism in general. If someone out there just thinks, okay, what's the first communist flag you can think of? You think of probably the USSR, yellow and red, China, yellow and red. That is often a color motif that is used. Yeah,
and now we have yellow, red, and green. So this is very similar. we go to the state flag, and the only difference between the civil and state flag is that instead of the 1 star with the wreath around it, it is actually a 5 in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So there's just a little difference there. So we're going to go to 1831. So it took about 6 years to get some new flags.
All right.
So the meaning stayed the same, but this time the civil flag was a yellow, red, green horizontal tricolor with a larger red section.
Gotcha.
So like the red is wide, like the last set of flags, and the state is the same colors, but the tricolor is equal.
Okay.
And it has the coat of arms in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So there's just a little bit of difference between the two.
Not too bad. Still some pretty good flag designs. Not the worst we've seen.
Yeah, it was actually pretty decent for these flags, and I kind of like them, with the exception of like the coat of arms. I don't like having coat of arms or seals on the flags, and I will fight somebody about that. And
yeah.
Having those two flags, or having the civil flag to back that up, even if the state one has a coat of arms on it, I think it just makes up for the fact that it's like, that one's okay.
It's forgivable.
It's forgivable. You have a backup. And then, you know what? Scrap all that. We're going to go into the Peru-Bolivian Confederation.
All right.
So they got rid of the, they didn't necessarily get rid of it, but they made a new flag.
Okay.
For this confederation. So it's a red flag. Gotta love the red.
Woo.
And it contains the coat of arms of both countries tied together with a sun, 4 stars, and a wreath.
Okay.
It was very interesting to have 2 different coat of arms in the middle of this flag. But the thing that bothers me the most about this flag, this is the entire reason why I stayed on this flag so much. I have problems with this flag. So my problem with this, it has the flags of both countries on the flags. So like on the sides of the coat of arms, it has the Bolivian flag and the Peruvian flag.
It's just double the flag for your money.
My gosh, like if you have the flag on your flag is not doing enough. Whatever you're doing there, if you have a flag on your flag, you're wrong.
Exactly.
You
just have the normal flag.
Yeah, you can't do that. Oh my gosh. Like, if there's anything that bothers me more than having a seal or coat of arms, it's having a flag on your flag.
That'd be like if a state here in America had their flag, but part of their flag was putting their old flag on the flag.
Yeah, you know what? It's like if you put the American flag in the canton of the American flag. That's exactly what it is. It's so, oh my gosh.
Twice the flag for your money, and it looks awful.
Sure. Wow. Like, I can't believe like a country would do this. But they got rid of that.
All right.
So
good.
this happened like around 1851. They changed it.
Good.
This is the current flag, or it has current flags. So the civil one is just a red, yellow, green. So like the one before was yellow, red, green. They changed it to red, yellow, green.
Okay.
It's still the horizontal tricolor. The state is the same thing, but with the coat of arms in the middle.
Okay.
Do you know what the coat of arms has in the middle?
My mind would be like a sword or something, normal coat of arms things, but
it literally has the flag.
So close yet so far away. They really tried.
Of course I knew what the flags looked like as a basic. I did not pay attention to the coat of arms. I never do. But I took a closer look because we were studying Bolivia. The civil flags are on the state flags.
Now, what if that flag has the coat of arms that has that flag, and then on that flag there's a coat of arms, and it's an even smaller flag on it?
If they use the state flags on the state flags, I have so many problems with that. I had to stop researching right there. It's like, okay, we got to the point where we're at now. I would tell the Bolivian people to like change their flag, but like that's not my place.
And as we said in the France episode, they probably have much more important things to deal with. I mean, like I said, they have very bad runaway inflation, sanctions, all those things.
I mean, I guess, but there's a flag on your flag.
That should be important.
It's important to me.
As two people who had to do research to tell you anything about the flag or about the country, it's still a bad flag.
It's a bad flag. Like, okay, the civil flag is just fine. If they if the state flag was the civil flag, it would be perfect. I would adore this flag, but it just has flags on the flag.
People love a tricolor.
Yeah, I guess. Hi there. You're listening to part 1 of a 2-part podcast. I'm your host, Violet Jackson, with my co-host, Roxy Milliken. This is produced by me, Violet Jackson, and music is V's Vexillology by Jade, Weston. If you liked the episode, make sure to tell us and follow us on wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend about our podcast, or tell a stranger, tell an enemy, do what you want. Make sure to also follow us or message us on Facebook, TikTok, and on YouTube at the Vexillocast. The next episode will be out soon. With that, Vexillocast signing off. This is the Vexillocast, coming back for part 2. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. So we're gonna go on to a flag called a Wimphala. So
now this is a flag that I absolutely love.
This is really cool. So it is the indigenous flag for the Andean people. It's a rainbow flag made up of 49 squares. It is a 7x7, and the colors are arranged diagonally from bottom left to top right. And the colors are yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, green, white, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, green. So it like repeats after the white. Why is this flag important? So in 2009, President Evo Morales declared that the Wimphala flag should be the nation's dual flag, and that it should be flown on the left side of the national flag. So basically, Bolivia has 3 flags.
Now, I personally absolutely love this flag, and I think that this just 100% makes up for the other flags.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this flag.
I love this flag. It as I've said in episode 1, it does break the rule of like being a bit complicated. It has seven colors on there, which is a little more complicated than what most flags would do, which is about 2 or 3.
I mean, I definitely couldn't draw it as one of those ethics of good flag making is can a child draw it from memory?
Right.
I don't think a child, unless they really knew this flag, could draw it from memory.
Well, I think there's a possibility, but it does look really nice, and it's very unique compared to other country flags. Even though, like, when you look up Bolivia, you don't see this flag.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. You see the one with the flag on the flag.
We need to put our best foot forward on this one.
Yeah. This is a really nice flag, even though it does break a few rules. But I do hope to see more of it in the future. But that's the end of Bolivia. We're going to move on to our next country.
All right. So which one's next?
We're going to go to Russia.
All right.
So we do know that Russia does have a history with communism. And for time's sake, we're gonna skip over the Alexander II flag and the World War I flag. We're gonna go right to the communism.
All right.
We're gonna start in 1918 with the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, which is the Sfsr.
Yes.
And so there are various different versions of the red flag with the initials of the Soviet Republic. In the canton, in Russian, the flag is red and the letters are yellow, of course.
I mean, red is the international symbol for socialism.
And then we got the Union Soviet Socialist Republic's flag, which is the red field with a yellow crossed hammer and sickle. And it was topped with a yellow bordered star all in the canton. And this came about in 1922, the USSR.
All right. Yeah, they were definitely dealing with some wars at that time. You know, I think they were still fighting. I think they had just beaten the Civil War at that point. They had just pushed the whites back, which was the collection of capitalist countries working together with the people that the Bolsheviks ousted whenever they took over, basically. The interim government after the Tsar was exiled and killed. They actually pushed the whites back after a huge push by them, and I think it was right around this time whenever they finally kind of got that squared away. They didn't do too good. They were also extremely brutal. The whites were to the people that they were marching through. Basically horrible pogroms and things, so they didn't really get much popular support against the Bolsheviks. Yeah.
So with the USSR flag in 1922, the red represents the red flag of the Paris Commune. And that was in 1871. The red star with the yellow border represents communism. And the hammer and sickle represent workers and peasants, respectively, which collectively represent socialism.
Absolutely. About the Paris Commune in 1871, that's where a lot of early socialist figures really cut their teeth, especially Marx. Marx has a lot of writings about the Paris Commune and about why that failed. Engels has a lot of writing about that too, and about the workers and the peasants working together. A lot of critiques of communism, especially during this time before it was brought forward by Lenin and by Mao, is that it focused too much on factory workers and not enough on peasants, because peasants are obviously the people that feed the country, you know. Without them, we don't have any bread, right? And so it's great to see that the sickle for harvesting wheat and the hammer is there for rapid industrialization for those factory workers.
Right. In 1954, we go back to just Russia. Is the Russian Sfsr flag. This actually was the first solely Russian flag to implement the hammer and sickle into their design. The only difference between the USSR flag and the Russian Sfsr flag was that on the hoist side of the flag, they have a vertical blue stripe.
Gotcha.
And that was their difference between the USSR and the Sfsr.
And at this time, this was after Stalin passed away. Stalin died of a stroke in 1953. And so after Stalin passes away, that is often whenever a lot of historians will describe as the decline of the USSR, of the United Soviet Socialist Republic, with Khrushchev and other prime ministers that came after him. So it's very interesting to see that they changed it pretty much right after Stalin passed away. Once they actually figured out, okay, who's coming up next? Khrushchev, then we can deal with that.
So finally we get to the post-Soviet flag. So this is after post-communism, and this took place in 1991. The horizontal tricolor of white, blue, red, as we see today. They changed to darker colors in 1993, so it was like an azure and like a light red. And so they changed like 2 years later to more darker colors, so like a navy blue and like a bold red. The meaning behind them is white for nobility and frankness, blue for faithfulness, red for courage and love.
Quite interesting.
I do see with Russia in the news now, there is a flag going about that is basically the Russian flag. So like the Russian peace flag that has come about is white, blue, white. They don't want the red on there because that associates with war and blood.
Oh, I can see that, absolutely. Because I think I saw a graphic of like where someone had drawn it, kind of looked like a hand wiping away the red, kind of wiping away the bloodshed. I can definitely see that as being a strong protest against the current conflict.
Yeah.
We obviously don't have the time to get into that.
Yeah, as much as it is a hot topic right now, we got to move on.
Absolutely.
Hi, you're listening to the Vexillocast, a vexing conversation about flags. Stay tuned because we'll be right back. We've gotten through the rise and fall of Russian communism, and now we're going to go to China, where we started the beginning of the episode. We're going to start with the King Dynasty. They had a flag from 1862.
All right.
It was the first national flag of China. It started out as a triangular design, so it was like a right triangle from the hoist. And it later became rectangular.
Okay.
It depicts an azure dragon on a yellow field with a red circle in the upper left corner. Okay. So this would be near the Cantonese if there was one. The yellow is the royal color for Chinese emperors.
Okay.
The red circle is a pearl that represents wealth and good luck.
Gotcha.
And the dragon represents imperial power and strength.
I thought that the red was supposed to be a sun whenever I was doing some cursory looking. It's obviously, I like you to explain the flag meaning to me, but I do want to have it in my head. I thought it was the sun, but that makes more sense of wealth and good luck.
Yeah, I was also thinking that it may have been a sun, but the sources that I found described it as a pearl, which was an interesting wording.
Well, we should definitely trust them about what they designed their flag to be.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the People's Republic's flags.
All right.
So this is where quite a few changes go into place. So in 1912, the flag was 5 horizontal stripes, red, yellow, blue, white, black, and they represent the 5 races under one union, which is what the actual flag was called. And the 5 races are the Han, the Manchus, the Mongols, the Hui, and the Tibetans.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, China is a huge country, so that makes sense.
In 1928, they changed it, and it is a red field with a blue canton containing a white sun with 12 points. So the 12 points represent the 12 months and the 12 shichen, which is a standard of time which corresponds with 2 hours.
Oh, so that'd be like the whole day. If each one of those corresponds to 2 hours and there's 12 of them, that makes sense.
And the red means red earth, which is to represent revolutionaries who helped to overthrow the King Dynasty. The corresponding colors represent principles of the people, the blue for nationalism and liberty, the white for democracy, and red for livelihood. Now, this is a recognizable flag, and it's still used today.
Yes, it is.
It is for Taiwan, which is now the Republic of China. And because the People's Republic of China, they have control of the mainland.
They both argue that they are the true China, as it were, due to basically the civil war that was fought between the nationalists with Chiang Kai-shek and the socialists, which is Mao Zedong. After Mao won, basically the nationalists were kicked off into Taiwan. So Taiwan is actually not considered a country by China. They basically believe that, like, well, that's still China. It's still us. They are just in control of pretty far-right nationalist groups as it stands right now. The politics have changed a little bit, but as it stands, whenever they were first founded, it was an extreme nationalist party controlling Taiwan.
I had to look this up and make sure, like, what is the status of Taiwan? And the conclusion I came up with is nobody knows. Yeah. It's really strange, and I actually talked to someone who is from Taiwan. I asked him about, it's like, what is Taiwan in relation to China? And he goes, I don't know.
There's some pretty constant tensions. There's a lot of argument over basically the sea in between them. A lot of people, speaking of Russia and their current conflict, a lot of people are saying that as, well, maybe China sees that as a blueprint for taking Taiwan. I don't personally see that happening, but tensions are always being ratcheted up there.
Right. For me, that entire situation is confusing, and it seems like the general consensus is that it's all confusing.
Yeah. And it's probably not our place here in the Western world to really talk on those subjects, you know?
Not really.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to 1931 with the Chinese Soviet Republic.
Mm-hmm.
So China was declared a Soviet state by Mao Zedong.
Yes.
And the flag is a red field with yellow text that says the Chinese Soviet Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And in the center is a globe containing a black hammer and sickle, a yellow star above the globe, and it is bordered by a wreath of wheat and corn, just like some kind of crop. It doesn't look exactly like corn.
I thought it was supposed to maybe be rice, as
Maybe
rice was a big crop there. Now, I will say this, in my mind, whenever I think about it, it kind of falls into putting a crest on a flag, but I think this flag looks awesome, too.
I'm indifferent to it. I think it's a little complicated for me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely hard to draw.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard to draw. With text, it's going to be really hard to get exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have like recreations that are not exactly the right font.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in 1931, yeah, you're going to get some variations.
Yeah, especially when everything about, it's still not a mass-produced thing. You know, it's mostly individual people making these flags. There's going to be some variations there.
Right. And now we've come full circle to the current flag, 1949. This is the one you all see around. It is a red flag with a set of yellow 5 stars in the Canton area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like split up into quadrants, and this is all in the first fourth.
Mm-hmm.
1 star is pretty large, and the other 4 stars are aligned in an arch to the right side of the big star, and they are rotated to point towards the center of the big star.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really important detail you need to get right.
Yes, it is.
I dug deeper into this, and there was a problem where this was not done right.
Really?
We talked about in our tourist destination thing, we talked about the site of the Sochi Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the Olympics.
All right.
In Rio de Janeiro.
Mm-hmm. Pretty recently, wasn't it? It was 2015?
This was 2016.
2016.
The women's volleyball team of China, they medaled at their event, and at the ceremony they raised the Chinese flag, and it was wrong.
Oh.
The small stars were all rotated the same direction.
Oh wow.
And people were outraged by it. And it's like, this would go with any other country. If you had the American flag up there and like maybe the 29th star was rotated like 15 degrees, you'd probably be really mad about that.
Oh yeah. People would probably make a whole bunch of memes about it on Twitter and things and being like, this isn't how it's supposed to be, Yeah.
And I saw a tweet that was like, this is our country at a global scale. You need to have this right. You need to represent us correctly.
And especially with the symbology of all the flags or all the stars pointing to the bigger star, it's very important to keep that symbology intact because it's an important part of the flag.
Yes. This is a very, very fine detail. And like, this would go with, like I said, this would go with any other country flag. You got to have this right. And so after that first event, the Olympics coordinator or somebody, they responded to that and was like, okay. And so they bought a whole bunch of other Chinese flags that were done right.
Well, that's good.
And so they fixed it after that. But it was a problem for quite a bit for China.
That's good they stepped in and made it correct, though. I mean, if you messed up anyone else's flag, they would not be taking it too well either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So the meaning of these stars: the large star represents the Communist Party, and the 4 stars represent the 4 social classes: the working class, peasantry, the petite bourgeoisie, and the national bourgeoisie. So that's why it's really important to have those stars pointed correctly.
And that's really interesting because the big part of, we obviously don't have the time to get into the difference between Marxist thought, Marxist-Leninist thought, and Marxist-Leninist Maoist thought. One of the big thing about Maoist thought, Mao's Zedong obviously, is the idea of the vanguard party and going to the people. So basically in that way, the Communist Party, the vanguard party, is basically what guides everyone else towards revolution. It is people who in the words of Lenin, are full-time revolutionaries.
Mm-hmm.
So the Communist Party, the vanguard party, is what leads everyone to socialism, to help educate, actually lead the revolution whenever it happened, and bring all of the people, the working class, the peasantry, the petit bourgeois, the actual bourgeoisie, all together. So it's very important that all those stars actually point towards the communist flag.
All right, that's all the time we have for this episode. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Vexillocast. I'm your host, Violet Jackson.
And I'm your co-host, Roxy Milliken.
And this is produced by me, Violet Jackson, and music is V's Vexillology by Jade, Weston. And if you like this episode, make sure to tell us and follow us on wherever you get your podcast. Tell a friend about our podcast, or tell a stranger, tell an enemy, do what you want.
Proselytize on the street.
Absolutely. Make sure to also follow us or message us on Facebook, TikTok, and on YouTube at the Vexillocast. The next episode will be out soon. With that, Vexillocast signing off.